Watch Dr. Drew's new show at 9 on HLN. Weeknights on HLN.
We saw that video there where it looks, that to me looks difficult. But I've got a forensic specialist here, Lindsay Philpott, a nodding expert who worked on the John Benet Ramsey case. I'm actually really grateful you're here because if it's possible, show me how. Because I have somebody who had no experience with rope. Looking at just that video, it seems extraordinary to think that somebody in an altered state, perhaps, could sit down, never having worked with a rope before, and bind themselves and do it in the way we saw in that video.
It's a very curious thing to be able to tie yourself in knots. And seeing the way in which the video displayed it, you first of all have to find the halfway point on the line and then put it over yourself like this.
Well, now, how would you know to do? I would not know to do that. Unless I were a sailor from the 17th century or something. I mean, I'm a young woman in distress. I'm going to think to do that.
I really don't think that anybody could think to do that.
Okay.
And it's very difficult for me, even as an expert, to be able to manipulate these lines in some way so that I can. You can see it.
And then, really she actually did it behind her back. Then she got it. But then
to take them off there and put them behind her back would be tantamount to contortionist, because you then have to try to figure out where things are going and how they're going to get there, and what would be the purpose. What would be the purpose in showing that your hands are tied behind your back? After all said and done, if you're going to be committing suicide, aren't you mainly concerned with asphyxiating or breaking your own neck as a result of that?
And then the feet, too, were bound, I guess, although I haven't seen any video on what kind of binding she allegedly did there. That too, seems very, very bizarre. I
haven't seen anything which indicates the kind of binding around her wrists, nor have I seen anything indicating the kind of knot around her ankles.
And by the way, how about having the knowledge to be able to have the right kind of, I wouldn't know what kind of knot to put around a bed to make sure I wouldn't just fall to the ground. I mean, isn't even that in itself a little challenging?
That is challenging.
And how about the noose? I don't know how to tie. How do you magically know how to tie a noose?
There's a number of different ways of tying a noose. You can tie one by doing this, but as you can see, if you put the end in the wrong place, that will simply come apart and you'll be left with nothing. You have to put it into the right place, and you have to know to put it into the right place so that it would actually stay in position. And then once it does, it's going to tighten up around the bedpost. Most people will tie lots of knots. If they're going to tie anything at all, they'll tie lots of knots.
That makes sense to me. That makes sense to me.
And that's not what she was kind.
And that's not what she was doing.
That.
Yeah. Well, listen, I really appreciate you being here, because to me this is one of the most mysterious parts of this, is watching an explanation on a video that's supposed to show us how it was likely that she did it, when to me it makes it even more mysterious.